Hello, and welcome back to the Baselight Learning Program. Today, I'm going to be covering Baselight Galleries. The form is the same as usual, so if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and I'll answer them at the end. Okay, let's get started. Galleries are used in Baselight for storing looks, which can be applied to any shots within the current scene. Each look consists of a grade stack made up of one or more layers. If you can't see the gallery in your workspace, you can either switch to a workspace which includes the gallery, such as the standard workspace, or you can add it to your current workspace by holding down the Control key, or that would be the Windows key on a Linux system, right-click on the desktop and select Insert. Then choose Gallery. You'll see there's also a Gallery 2 in this list, but we'll come back to that later. Note that you can't open the gallery view as a floating window like you can with some of the other views in Baselight. It can only be added as a docked view in a workspace. Okay, so let's have a closer look at the gallery view. At the top are a row of buttons. These allow you to grab the current look to the gallery or remove the currently selected look from the gallery. The next button determines what layers are pasted and how they are applied onto a shot or multiple shots in the scene when the Apply button is pressed. I'm not going to cover the pasting of grades as this is covered in the session on copy and paste. And please watch that video if you want to find out more. The Actions button here allows you to open specific galleries, create new ones, and import and export galleries so they can be moved to another Baselight system. And I'll come back to these later. So the main part of the gallery view consists of thumbnails showing the various looks which have been saved. You can resize the thumbnails by holding down the Command key or Control on a Linux system and then dragging left or right with the middle mouse button, or while holding down the lower side switch on the tablet pen. You can also reorder the thumbnails by dragging them within the gallery view. The thumbnail which is shown for each look was grabbed from the original shot from which the grade was saved. When you apply a look from a shot in the gallery, the original source media, of course, isn't pasted. It's just shown here as a reference, so that you know what the grade looks like. And in most cases, you'll be applying a look to a completely different shot. However, what you're looking at here isn't just a flattened image showing you what the final result of the grade looks like. It's actually a live view being created from the grade stack which was grabbed. If you double-click on the thumbnail, you'll see a pop-up layer view showing all the grade layers in the stack, including their mats. Layer 0 is the original ungraded input material. You can preview any layer in the stack by clicking the mouse pointer or tapping the tablet pen at the top edge of the thumbnail for that layer. The image display will switch over to show you the grade at that layer. This also applies to any mats which are included in the look. If the source media for this shot is still on the system, you can even scrub through the shot, as the look includes a pointer to the original file on disk. Now, if the look was grabbed a while ago, then the original shot media may have been deleted or moved off this Baselight system. However, when the shot was grabbed to the gallery, not only was the grade stack saved, but also a full resolution still image of the poster frame for the original shot. And that means that each look in the gallery will always retain the entire grade stack from the original shot, including the input layer. So you'll always be able to see a preview of each layer in the grade stack as they're always applied live to the source media, even if that's now only a still which was taken from the original source media. This is a very powerful feature of the Baselight Gallery as it provides an accurate colour preview of each step in the look or each layer, and it also allows you to selectively paste individual layers from any of the grades that you've saved. As I said, the original media is being used here as a reference for the look, and it therefore has its original colour space. However, as we're viewing these thumbnails on the UI display, they need to be converted to sRGB to give accurate colour. And there's therefore an option, use sRGB for the thumbnails, when you right-click on any of the thumbnails. Another way to view the shots in the gallery without using the mouse is to press the View button. And this is a dedicated button on the blackboard and slate control panels, but you can also use the semicolon button on the keyboard. Now this actually shows the current DBS shot in the main image display. And the DBS is the dark blue square, which can be moved between the cuts view and the gallery. The DBS is covered in another tutorial, but as you can see, we can move it around all the shots in the gallery to easily and quickly compare and apply different looks. Below each thumbnail, there's a notes field which allows you to type in a comment. You can also display other metadata which refers to the original shot which was grabbed to the gallery by selecting it from the right-click menu. However, in many cases you don't really need to know much about the original media in the grabbed shots. It's just the look or the grade which was stored that you're interested in. So these fields are normally hidden by default. Above the thumbnails are a couple of tabs, and these allow you to switch between different galleries. Baselight allows you to create your own galleries, but it also has some predefined galleries which can be tied to the current user, the current scene, or the current job. The predefined galleries can be set to automatically open whenever you open a scene, and this can be very handy. For example, you may want your user gallery to always be open so you can recall your favourite looks and effects. Or you may also want the job gallery to be open whenever you're working on a scene from the current job. If you then create a new scene in the current job, for example a new episode of a TV show, then any looks you've saved from previous episodes in the same TV series would be directly available to be applied to shots in the new episode. To set up these predefined galleries, you go to the Cuts View, Gallery and Scratch Pad page of the Baselight Preferences up here. And if you scroll down to the Gallery Auto Load section, you can set up the galleries you want to open automatically. And you can set up to 3 galleries to load automatically. Ignore the Gallery 2 settings for now. So you can see here I've set the first 2 to open the user gallery and the per job gallery, and I've left the third one empty. There are other options in this list, as you can see, but we'll explain the use of those in one of the advanced workflow tutorials later on. And if you make any changes here, remember to click on the Save button. If the predefined galleries are not open, or if you've closed them by clicking on the X button, you can reload them by selecting Load Missing Auto Galleries from the Actions menu here. There's also an option to disable the auto load function, which means that the galleries will not automatically load when the scene is opened. Okay, so how do you actually save looks to the gallery? Well, that's very easy. You simply have to click on the Grab button above the gallery. You can also use the dedicated Grab button on the blackboard or slate control panel, or you can press Shift-G on the keyboard. And when you do that, the current cursor shot is grabbed to the currently selected gallery. And note that the whole stack is always saved into the gallery, including all the matte layers. And if any of the layers have keyframed operators, then the keyframes are also saved. If any of the layers or operators are bypassed when the shot is grabbed to the gallery, the bypassed state will be saved and it'll be reflected in the gallery thumbnail. So the thumbnail you see here accurately reflects the actual look as it was when you grabbed it. However, when you apply the look from the gallery, those bypass settings will be ignored by default. However, you can override this behavior so it would apply strips with the stored bypass settings by changing the copy and paste settings in the timeline page of the Baselight preferences. Now, if you didn't mean to grab a shot to the gallery, or you've changed your mind and want to undo the grab, don't press the undo button or Control or Command Z on the keyboard. That'll actually undo the last change you made to the grade, rather than undoing the grab. If you want to undo a grab, then you need to right-click on the gallery and select Undo Grab Stack from the pop-up menu. And there's also a redo grab function in the gallery right-click menu. You can also get rid of any shots in the gallery that you don't want by selecting them and then clicking on the Remove button here. Another way to grab a look to the gallery is to drag a shot from the cuts view. Now this method allows you to add any shot to the gallery, not just the one at the current cursor position. However, you do of course need to use the mouse. Using this method, you can grab multiple looks to the gallery at the same time by selecting several shots as a group and then dragging the group into the gallery. Now, I used the Option or Alt key to set up this group of shots, and there are other ways to select a group of shots in the Cuts view, and these are covered in the DBS and Cuts view video. Okay, so how do you decide which gallery to save a look into? Well, it really depends on the kind of project you're working on and how you prefer to work. If you're sharing the Baselight system with other users, then each colorist will have their own user gallery, which is tied to their user login name. And if you want to build up your own collection of general purpose looks, for example, cool, warm, day for night, teal and orange, then you can save them into your user gallery. They would then be available for you for any project you're working on, assuming that you've set the user gallery to be one of the auto loads. However, you may want to save some looks which are going to be used throughout a specific job across all users, but they may not be used anywhere else. So in that case, you'd probably want to save those looks into a per job gallery. You may also be working with different clients, and you wouldn't want each client necessarily to be able to see thumbnails from the other client's material. So in that case, using a per job gallery would isolate them from each other, as you would actually create a different job for each client. It's also possible to create custom galleries, which can be opened whenever you need to use them. To create a new custom gallery, select New Gallery from the Actions menu. Give the gallery a name, and then click on OK. Now a pop-up will appear asking you to choose a format for the gallery. By default, it'll choose the scene's current working format. However, you can choose a different one if you prefer. Now you may be wondering why you need to specify format for the gallery. Well, the long answer is beyond the scope of this tutorial. However, to explain briefly, the gallery can contain shots from different scenes which may have different aspect ratios. When you preview a shot in the gallery, it's normally converted to the current scene's viewing format, so it fits the current image display. However, it's possible to preview shots in the gallery in their original format by right-clicking on the gallery and turning off the viewing format and masks from the current cursor setting here. The gallery format helps Baselight know how to apply format conversions when different aspect ratio shots are grabbed into the gallery and then applied onto shots in a different scene. However, as I said, this is really only relevant for more complicated projects and workflows which have scenes with different working formats. So we'll just keep things simple for now and choose the default settings. Okay, so I now have a custom gallery and I can save my special looks into this one to keep them separate from the other galleries. If I close this custom gallery, I can open it again by selecting it from the list in the Actions menu. As well as these various different galleries, it's also possible to open a whole scene into the gallery view to use it as a reference. You do this from the Actions menu and you select Open Scene. Now find the scene you want to use as a reference by browsing in the job browser and then click on the Open button. The whole scene is added to the gallery view, and as for the other galleries, you can preview the look for any of the shots, and you can also pop up the layer view by double clicking on them. One thing you'll notice, however, is that the grab and remove buttons are greyed out. Now remember, this is a scene and not a gallery, so you wouldn't want to actually grab shots into it or remove any by mistake. So this is a very useful way to copy looks from a similar scene you may have already graded, or you may have set up a scene with reference looks which you can then apply to the current scene. You can also add the current scene to the gallery. If you click on the Actions button and select Add Current Cursor, the current scene is now shown in the gallery. Again, the grab and remove buttons are greyed out, but this is also showing the current timeline, so it also includes the current cursor position. Having the whole scene displayed in the gallery allows you to see more than you can normally see in the cuts view, especially if you make the thumbnail smaller. This makes it easier if you want to copy a look from, say, the beginning of the scene to a shot at the end of the scene without having to scroll up and down the timeline. In fact, the timeline can just stay where it is, and you can just do the copy by dragging from a shot at the beginning of the scene to one further down the gallery. This can also be a good way to copy looks from the current scene into one of your other galleries, and this is where Gallery 2 comes in handy. Okay, I'll now add Gallery 2 to the workspace by holding down Control or Windows on a Linux system and right-clicking on the desktop. I'll insert Gallery 2 next to the first gallery. Now things are getting a bit crowded on my single display, but normally you'd have two UI displays and also the image would be on a separate monitor, so there'd be plenty of space for two galleries side by side. Now Gallery 2 is currently empty, but it has the same option to add auto-load galleries in the preferences if you want to. Now in this case, I'm going to open the current cursor into Gallery 2. So I can now add looks from this scene into my job gallery or my user gallery by simply dragging them between Gallery 2 and Gallery 1. And you can also drag looks between other galleries if they're open in the two separate galleries. And you can also select multiple looks in a gallery and copy them all at once into the other gallery. sometimes galleries can get quite big, and it isn't always easy to find a specific look, even if you've added notes to them. So it's possible to assign up to 9 looks into quick slots. To assign a look into a quick slot, right-click on its thumbnail and then click on Assign Quick Slot. Choose the slot you want to put it into from the pop-up list. If you try to use a quick slot which is already in use, then you'll get a pop-up message asking if you want to overwrite the quick slot. Note that each gallery can have its own set of quick slots. Once you've assigned looks to quick slots, they will automatically appear at the top of the gallery view. And you can also filter the gallery to only show quick slots by selecting the Show Only Quick Slots from the right-click menu. This makes it very easy to pick one of them to apply to the current shot. If you're working on a blackboard or slate control panel, there are also buttons which will apply one of the 9 quick slot looks to the current shot with a single button press. If you no longer want a look set as a quick slot, then the right-click menu also allows you to unassign that look. Okay, to finish off, I'll show you a couple of other things you can do with the galleries. Firstly, the gallery provides a quick way to export stills of your looks. If you right-click on any of the thumbnails in the gallery, there's an Export Still option. This opens a window allowing you to choose whether you want to export just the current DBS look. That's the look that's where the DBS is currently placed in the gallery. Or you can export all the looks in the gallery. There are various options here which will allow you to set the export quality, the color space, format, file name, directory, and so on. And once you've set all these, you click on the OK button to do the export. Note that you can only export stills for an actual gallery using this method, not a scene that you've opened into the gallery. If you want to export scenes, if you want to export stills for the current scene, then use the Still Export option in the Views menu here. Finally, you can export the whole of the current gallery as an archive, which can then be imported into another Baselight system. Firstly, make sure the gallery you want to export is currently selected, and then choose Export Gallery from the Actions menu. Choose the directory where you want to save the archive, and then click on the OK button. Now the entire gallery will be exported as a compressed archive. And note that this includes the stills for each shot, because the same media may not exist on the destination system, and the stills will be needed to provide the thumbnails for each look if the original media wasn't there. So to import an archive, you just select the Import Gallery option from the Actions menu. And one final note, the gallery archive format is different between Baselight Look and the full Baselight systems, so importing and exporting galleries between them won't work. Okay, well, nobody's put any questions in the chat, so I hope you enjoyed that session. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.